Do you think you need to sell a kidney or mortgage a house somewhere to produce a video that doesn't look like a potato that's been smeared on a middle school gymnasium wall? If that's the case, this is definitely the podcast episode for you, because in this one we're going to cover some what I like to call guerrilla filmmaking techniques, which are basically really inexpensive ways of getting higher quality shots, as well as gear that's under $100. And these are not just things that I am coming up with. These are things I actually use every single day. If you want to read the article that this podcast is based on, you can click in the show notes down below. It has a lot more detail about each of the items and techniques that we're discussing in this podcast. And speaking of which, I'm going to turn this over to Grayson and Maya, and they're going to discuss this topic from their perspective, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.
We hear the excuse constantly, I can't make my video look cinematic because I don't have a $10,000 camera.
Right, and a $5,000 lens to go with it.
Exactly. And that belief is not just wrong, it's probably the single biggest barrier between you and making stuff that looks genuinely great.
It really is. It's such a costly misconception. People think cinematic quality is just gated by these massive budgets.
Yeah.
But it just boils down to making smart, super efficient decisions with the budget you actually have.
And we're not here today to just find the absolute cheapest gear possible.
No, because that's usually just junk that breaks on you halfway through your first shoot.
We're here to find that sweet spot, the best value gear, and maybe more importantly, the clever tricks and hacks that let your project punch way, way above its weight class.
Our mission is really zeroed in on functional, reliable tools where each individual thing costs less than $100.
Right. We want to show how accessible that movie magic really is long before you have to think about taking out a second mortgage. Okay, so let's unpack this and jump right into what I call the non-negotiables.
The fundamentals.
Yeah. If you miss these two things, no amount of fancy color grading is going to save your project. We are talking stability and sound.
Stability first. It's so simple, but it gets overlooked all the time.
It really does.
Unless you're specifically going for that, chaotic, shaky cam look. Shaky footage just screams amateur.
And it's because your camera operator isn't a statue, right? Even the tiniest shake just gets magnified on a big screen.
Totally.
So for under $100, you're obviously not getting a heavy-duty tripod with a Pro Fluid head.
Oh, no.
But you absolutely can find stability. And there was one workhorse in our notes that just kept coming up.
The newer 77-inch tripod. And I love this detail. The person who shared this recommendation said they own 3 of them.
3 of them?
Yeah. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know, right?
Yeah.
It says this thing is reliable and functions way beyond its price tag.
So what's the key there? What makes it good value?
Lightweight, which is great. But the crucial part is it has solid leg locks. A lot of cheap tripods, they slip or they wobble.
Oh yeah, the worst.
But the consistency on these simple locks, it just gives you that stable base. And that immediately elevates how professional your shot feels.
It just suggests competence, like you planned the shot.
Exactly. And hey, if you're shooting on a smartphone, which so many people are now,
a good phone tripod is essential.
Absolutely. You're stabilizing a lighter object, so you need less structure. You can get something rock solid for almost nothing.
So we've nailed the look. Steady shot, half the battle, won.
Half the battle.
But that only gets us halfway, because no matter how beautiful the image is, bad audio will just kill the whole vibe.
Oh, yes. Audio. You could argue it's more important than the picture quality.
I would argue that.
Yeah. If the visuals are stunning, but the sound is all crunchy and distant, or you've got that terrible internal mic echo.
People are gone. They've clicked away.
Instantly. You just have to prioritize your audio.
So for under $100, what's the smart play for a DIY video maker?
For dialogue, so interviews, talking head videos, vlogs, that kind of thing, lavaliers are your best friends.
The little clip-on mics.
Exactly. Those small, affordable lav mics make a massive night and day difference.
Because you're getting it so close to the person's mouth.
That's the secret. It just pulls the mic right up to the speaker, and it minimizes all that room noise and echo.
Okay, and what about for someone who needs a wider sound, maybe for like ambient noise or a scene that isn't just one person talking?
Then you start looking at the budget on camera, shotgun mics. They're directional.
So they focus on what's right in front of the camera.
Right. And even a $50 external shotgun mic, if you use it correctly, is just infinitely better than the one built into your camera.
But that market is just flooded with junk, right? How do you make sure you're not buying something that's actually worse?
That is the key piece of advice. You have to research user reviews and look specifically for audio quality reviews.
Not just, it looks cool.
No. Pay attention to people complaining about hiss or distortion or bad battery life. The good ones are out there, but you got to do your homework.
Okay. So picture is stable, sound is clean. Now we can move on to the real magic ingredient.
Light.
Light. Time to avoid that dreaded dungeon look.
Good lighting is what makes something feel cinematic. It doesn't just illuminate a scene, it transforms it. It adds depth and mood.
The difference between pro and amateur is almost always the lighting.
It is. And you absolutely do not need a Hollywood lighting truck to get there.
So what are we looking at in this ultra low budget category?
Small LED panel lights or maybe a small ring light. For well under $100, you can get something that is incredibly versatile.
And what's the big selling point? Portability.
That's huge. They're portable, they're often dimmable, and they're battery powered, which is a lifesaver for quick setups. Perfect for key lights, interviews, product shots.
When we're shopping for one, what's the one feature that's an absolute must-have?
Adjustable color temperature, no question. You need to find models that can switch between, say, 3200 Kelvin.
Which is that warm indoor light color?
Exactly, that tungsten look. And 5600 Kelvin, which is standard daylight.
Okay, so explain why that's so critical for someone just starting out. Can't you just fix that later in editing?
You can try, but it's a huge pain, and you often get weird, unnatural colors. Having that versatility saves you so many headaches.
Give me an example.
Okay, imagine you're shooting an interview inside. The lamps in the background are warm and orange, but you've got this bluish daylight coming in through a window.
A classic mixed lighting nightmare.
Total nightmare. But if your key light can shift its temperature, you can match one of those sources and it all looks clean and intentional. That control is priceless.
That makes perfect sense, but the gear is only half of it.
Oh yeah? Technique is free?
Bouncing that little LED off a white wall using diffusion, that's just as important as the light itself.
Which is the perfect lead-in to DIY lighting hacks. This is where filmmaking creativity really happens.
Right. Budget limits aren't really limits, they're just creative challenges.
They force you to think. And that's how you actually get good.
Okay, so let's get specific. How do we tame those harsh, ugly shadows for cheap?
2 words. Bounce and diffusion. For bounce, just go to a craft store and get a piece of white foam core board.
Costs like $5.
Exactly. You point your LED panel at that board, and the light that reflects back on your subject is suddenly softer, whiter. It's beautiful. It smooths out all those shadows under the chin and eyes.
And what about diffusion? If we don't have a big, fancy silk to put in front of the light?
An old white bedsheet. Or even a cheap, opaque shower curtain. You just drape it over the light source and it spreads the light out.
Okay, but a major safety note here, right?
Huge safety note. Only do this with LED lights that stay cool. Do not, I repeat, do not drape any fabric over a traditional hot light. It's a fire hazard.
Got it. And we can't forget about the lights that are already in the room, the practicals.
Use them. Practical lights add so much realism and depth. The trick is controlling them. A cheap dimmer from a hardware store, 10, 20 bucks. Now you can control the intensity of that lamp in the background so it's not blowing out the shot.
And what about for adding some depth in the background? Some of that nice blurry bokeh.
A simple string of fairy lights. Place them out of focus behind your subject.
It works wonders.
I love that. It's so simple. Yeah, and if you need color, forget expensive gels.
Let me guess, cellophane.
Colored cellophane gift wrap. Again, be super careful with heat. Only use it on LEDs. But yeah, proper lighting, even with $5 materials, can just elevate everything.
All right, so we've got stable static shots, clean audio, we know how to light, but what about movement?
The smooth tracking shot.
Everyone wants that smooth tracking shot, but nobody wants to buy a $1,000 gimbal.
And you don't have to. You just have to be a little more innovative with what's around you.
Let's talk about the legendary poor man's dolly.
If you have a flat, smooth surface, you have a dolly track. Use anything with wheels. A shopping cart, an office chair, a skateboard.
Okay, a skateboard sounds a little hard to control. Aren't you just setting yourself up for more shaky footage?
It's a challenge, for sure, but it forces you to practice smooth movement. The key is you need 2 people, one to operate the camera and one to push the board with really gentle, consistent pressure.
It's not perfect, but it gives you a sense of motion.
Exactly. And for smaller moves, like pushing in on a product on a table, just use a piece of glass or Formica and slide the camera gently. It works.
My favorite DIY solution from our notes has to be the PVC shoulder rig.
It's so good. It sounds like a science fair project.
It does, but it gets massive results.
It's pure value engineering. You get some PVC pipes, some elbows, some T-joints from a hardware store, maybe 20, 30 bucks in total.
And you just build a frame that fits on your shoulder?
Yeah, the T-joints become your handles, the pipe rests on your shoulder, and for the finishing touch,
pipe insulation.
You got it. That foam stuff from the plumbing aisle,
right.
Put it on for padding. It gives you so much more stability than just holding the camera because it spreads the weight across your whole body.
Okay, so we've shot our footage. Now we're in post-production. This is where you can make huge upgrades for literally nothing.
$0. It's all about knowledge, not hardware.
Let's circle back to audio real quick, because even a great mic can't fix a terrible sounding room.
Right, that echo chamber problem. You need some acoustic treatment.
But not expensive foam panels?
No. DIY soundproofing. Use heavy blankets, thick curtains. You can even record inside a closet.
The classic voiceover booth.
It sounds ridiculous, but the clothes just dampen all those reflections. It makes
Yeah.
a massive difference, and it costs you nothing.
And then the software, this is where you save big money.
DaVinci Resolve. Just download DaVinci Resolve. If you're starting out, stop paying monthly subscriptions.
It's industry standard.
It's incredibly powerful, and the free version has almost everything you'll ever need. Editing, effects, and amazing color grading tools.
It's not just an editor, it's the whole package.
It's probably the single best piece of kit you can add to your toolkit because it costs $0 and it teaches you how pros actually work.
And for dedicated audio cleanup, if you need to go a step further.
Audacity. It's free, it's fantastic for cleaning up audio. And then you can add free VST plugins for things like EQ and noise reduction.
So the real value here isn't the software, but the time you spend learning it.
Precisely. The time you spend figuring out how to fix a bad microphone sound in Audacity is a way better investment than buying another piece of mediocre gear.
Okay, we've covered what to buy, what to build, but maybe just as important is knowing what to skip.
Oh, absolutely. There are definite pitfalls in the sub $100 category.
Things that promise the world but deliver.
Disappointment. A lot of disappointment.
So give us the specifics. What are the budget betrayers?
That $80 gimbal. Just stay away.
Really?
It's almost certainly more trouble than it's worth. They promise smooth shots, but you get these jerky motors, frustrating controls, and footage that's actually worse than if you just held it carefully.
So you're better off with that PVC rig you built yourself.
Much better off.
Yeah.
Because you are in control of the mechanics.
And what about cheap lens accessories? All those screw-on filters.
Skip them. Especially the cheap variable ND filters. They can introduce these horrible color casts and just degrade your image quality. It completely undermines all the work you did on lighting and getting a stable shot.
So it all comes back to the fundamentals.
Always. Prioritized, stable support, decent light, and clear audio. All the other fancy stuff is just a distraction if you don't have those basics nailed.
All right, let's wrap this up. We've focused on finding that value sweet spot, all under that $100 per item price point.
And hopefully shown that cinematic quality is absolutely achievable without going into debt.
We broke it down into, what, 4 key areas?
Yeah, first was support, simple tripods and that awesome DIY PVC rig. Second was lighting, those small LED panels, and the game-changing phone core for bounce.
Third was audio,
Yeah.
lav mics, and free software like Audacity.
And finally, editing. Just learning the incredibly powerful and free DaVinci Resolve.
The knowledge is the real tool here. It's the most powerful and cheapest thing in your arsenal. Budget limits aren't handcuffs.
They force creative solutions.
Exactly. And that leads us to a final thought for you to think about this week.
We talked about using office chairs and skateboards as dollies. It forces you to learn careful, controlled movement.
So the question for you is, what free, everyday object could you experiment with this week to get a camera movement you thought you needed expensive gear for?
Focus on building that skill of mastery and practice.
Yeah.
Because knowledge and technique will always, always outperform expensive equipment in the hands of someone who's still learning.
Get creative.
So there you have it. Gear under $100, some guerrilla filmmaking techniques. It's all right there. You can check out the article in the show notes down below. That is a great place to start. Anybody can do it, starting with a cell phone and a skateboard. I mean, come on. It's that easy. All right. Thank you so much for listening. We will catch you in the next episode of this podcast, and welcome to season 2.